Hey, it's Meatball.
And Mark.
And this is the Rocker Morning Show on demand from 107.7 RKR.
107.7 RKR. It's the Rocker Morning Show with Mark Freikhaus and Meatball, joined on the phone by an author and a lifelong Michigan resident who just wrote a book about all the weird, wonderful, and obscure things in Michigan. Welcome to the Rocker Morning Show. Amy Piper, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, it's fun.
You have gone on the ultimate roadside attraction journey and put this amazing book together. Are you a native of Michigan?
I am. I was born and bred in Michigan. I grew up in Lansing and then the Holt area, South Lansing.
Okay.
And I've lived here my whole life.
What initially prompted you to write about all these unique things in this book?
Well, I had written a book called 100 Things to Do in Lansing Before You Die.
Yeah.
By Reedy Press. And so then I started exploring Kansas with another writer, and she wrote Secret Kansas.
Huh.
And so I thought, oh, this is going to be fun. So I decided to approach the publisher on my next book, and I ended up with Secret Michigan.
How did you compile this list together? Did you seek out all of these spots personally, like on a real road trip?
Oh, yes. Not all at once.
Right.
Well, first, I would do my research online. Since I've lived here my whole life, I had some ideas already. And then I checked into Facebook groups and in various people that I would meet at my book events. And I would say, hey, do you know any secrets? Tell me your secrets. And then gradually it came together. And it's kind of funny, right up until the last minute I was swapping and changing because I could only have 84 stories.
Oh, wow.
And so I had to really make some tough decisions.
Yeah. No, why was there a limit to the stories you could write about?
Well, the length of the book, the publisher has a predetermined format of the length and how many stories are in there based on their price and that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So
this kind of opens the door up to maybe a Secret Michigan too.
You know, a lot of people have mentioned that. I've been trying to tell some of the stories that are not in my book on my social media so that people can get a taste of what there is, because there are just so many things. Michigan's a huge state, and there's also a book called Secret Detroit and Secret Upper Peninsula, but I also included some of those places in my book because it's Michigan, you have to, but included different stories than they told.
That's cool. Were there things on your journey of writing this book that you weren't aware of that you just so happened to stumble into a new topic, or like did you discover new things along the way?
Oh, definitely. And even new things after. For example, there's the Ford Paquette Avenue plant in Detroit that was a manufacturing plant for the Model T. Well, that was in the Secret Detroit book, so I kind of ignored it. And then finally, in my follow-up, I went there, and it turns out that they have a room called the Secret Design Room on the third floor that they recreated since the Secret Detroit book came out.
Huh.
So that was kind of a myth because, I mean, it was a design room where Henry Ford only let about 7 people in. And if you went there and you weren't one of those 7 people, then you were probably dismissed. So there's so many stories that I just came across as I was talking to people.
Out of all the stories and the places you visited, what would you say are some spots that our listeners like absolutely have to visit?
Well, number one, I love the Secret Garden at Breeze Winery and Vineyards in Traverse City.
Okay.
Because of the lavender fields. It's also a winery, so that's a great place to spend a July afternoon. You want to plan it for July when the lavender are blooming. Another place is the Gerald Ford Museum in Grand Rapids. And you might say, well, that's not so secret. But the story behind it, did you know that Gerald Ford was born Leslie King Jr.? And so the question in the book is, who was the only president that was also a king? And so there's just a whole story behind. He was born in Nebraska as Leslie King. He came to Michigan after his parents were divorced. His mother brought him to Grand Rapids. At 3, she married Gerald Ford Sr., but he never adopted his stepson. And so then Gerald Ford was at 3, they began calling him Gerald Ford Jr. And so when he graduated from University of Michigan, he legally changed his name.
That is wild. I never knew that.
There's secrets behind popular places, and there are places that you maybe never heard of. So there's just so many great stories here.
Yeah, that is really cool. I'm curious if there are any other Michigan-themed books that you'd like to do, like maybe like a haunted locations kind of one?
Maybe. There are so many things. I'd like to do something about restaurants in Michigan because I write a lot through a food lens. So
That's cool.
I like to write about unique eats and eateries. Even in my other books, I tended to put a few restaurants in. So that's one book I'd love to write, is some of the history behind various restaurants. And you'll find a little bit about that on my blog, Follow the Piper, too, with a lot of food stories.
How can people get this book? Because it's available now, right?
It's available now. It's available at local bookstores. It's available at Barnes & Noble, Amazon. You can get it on my blog, followthepiper.com.
We'll include an Amazon link about this book in the article that's on the 1077 RKR app. Definitely suggest getting it. Secret Michigan, A Guide to the Weird, Wonderful, and Obscure. It's available now. Amy, it was great talking to you, and can't wait to get stuck into this book. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.